I will share my screen and get started. All right. Claudia, do you want to kick us off?
Hello, everyone. My name is Claudia. I'm one of the bilingual family advocates here at the Family Resource Center. And I have worked with children and families, and I'm also a mom to a 9-year-old. I'm happy to see you all here today for our routine workshop that I'm going to be presenting along with my wonderful director, Lindsay.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm Lindsay Cole, and I'm the director of the Family Resource Center. I'm pinch hitting tonight because Ashley, who actually did a lot of the preparation for this, created the slides, did so much work. She's under the weather today and wasn't able to present tonight. So I'm happy to be jumping in, stuff that I'm really interested in. And so I am also a mom. I have 2 girls, a 4-year-old and a 12-year-old. So this stuff is really, I'm a work in progress on some of this, but I really enjoy learning about it. And we're excited to share some of this stuff with you tonight. And put your name in the chat to be entered for the raffle. We have 2 raffle prizes tonight. We have a self-care basket and we have a $50 gas card. So we're gonna do that at the end, but if you put your name in the chat, especially those where your name isn't visible on your sign in, that way we'll be able to enter you in there. So let's get going.
So we're going to talk about the importance of routines for our families and our children. This is a nice quote. Routines are the guardrails that keep your strong-willed child from going off the tracks. Very fitting for today's presentation. And next slide, we're going to talk about how some of these routines contribute to social emotional health.
Yeah, so first, we're just going to set the stage a little bit around some of the research that shows how routines are critical to our children's social and emotional health. So, quite a few studies have been done on this topic, and they show that routines, the more routines that are incorporated into a child's life, that generally their rate of social emotional health increases. So that could be things like story time or family dinner or bedtime, morning play, or personal care like brushing teeth or bath time. Those are all, they may seem like small things, but they're very important for our kids to develop some routines around. And one particular study that we were looking at found that participation in at least 5 routines was associated with more than 2 times the odds of having high social emotional health in children. So it kind of stacks up. The more routines, the better.
So right here, you'll notice this chart, it's an emotion wheel. It's based on 8 primary emotions that serve as a foundation for all others. Once we are able to identify and understand these emotions, it may be easier for us as adults or our children to control those big emotions and act accordingly. So if you think of the last time your child had a meltdown, what do you think contributed to the meltdown?
I have one. Claudia.
Go ahead, Maria.
My child had a really bad meltdown a few weeks ago. She wanted ice cream at 9 at night. And obviously, I'm not going to lie, we're not in a set schedule for routines yet. There was a point where we were on a schedule, but that is no longer happening. So part of being a mom and part of being routines is being honest. And so I would say that So she had a meltdown, and I was upset because like she was crying over ice cream, and it was really late at night, and it's like she knew she already had dinner. She knew that it was not time for ice cream, because she knows that, even though we're not on a straight routine, but she has that in mind that once we eat and we brush our teeth, no more nothing, you know. And so like I just wanted to like give her a timeout or spank her, but I held it together, and like I just walked away from her. And actually I got to know about these wheels, the feelings wheel, if I'm wrong, from one of my coworkers, and it's helped me so much because I suffer from severe anxiety. And on this wheel, I was able to figure out that I was like, okay, she's mad. Why is she upset? Like, why is she crying? Okay, well, she's sad because she's not getting her ice cream. And so she is disappointed, and the disappointment led her to feeling down, you know, because she didn't get what she wants. So yeah, I would really recommend this wheel to like all the parents, or to like if anybody that suffers from anxiety, if you just wanted an example.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, it sounds like she might have been angry, and then under that, if we look at the wheel, we can see that that might have been stemmed from frustration of not being able to have what she wanted. And if we look a little bit further, it could have even been, you know, that she was a little bit annoyed even, or, you know, just testing her limits, which is natural for a small child.
Yeah. Well, and did anyone else have any other thoughts when thinking about, you know, times that your children have melted down? I know for me, sometimes it does tie into routines because they might not realize. In my mind, I know what's happening next, but my 4-year-old, she doesn't always know what's happening next. And so if something happens too suddenly, then got a meltdown on my hands right then. And it looks like we have a comment in the chat as well. Christine was talking about her kids are on a great routine from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. They have the days planned, but they do have big meltdowns when they come back from their father's house. Yeah, that can be different because 2 different households might have really different routines, and so then they're used to one set of things, and that can be hard to transition between 2 different households like that. Yeah, did anyone else want to jump in and share anything? So definitely just something to keep in mind. And we're going to keep talking about some ways that help kids to not have those meltdowns and to self-regulate.
So why are routines important for the development of our little ones? We're gonna look into that, into the next slide.
So, so fundamentally, routines really help kids with their behavior because it helps them answer some very basic questions for themselves. You know, what can I expect from this, and how do I need to act? And Ashley, our family advocate, that again was kind of the you know, the creator behind this, she likes to give an example of, you know, an analogy that as an adult, what would happen if someone just came to your house and said, come get in my car, we're going somewhere? You know, what kind of questions would you ask? You would be wondering, well, where are we going? And what should I be wearing? And are these shoes the kind of shoes I need to do? And do I need to bring anything? And so we kind of take for granted that we, as a parent, we know where we want our kids to go or what they're going to be doing. But a child, when they have routines, they understand more of that context. They understand, I need to put my shoes on for this, and I need to be dressed in a certain way for this. And so it really helps them to self-regulate, regulate their emotions, and adjust to their environment, be aware of the expectations on them, prepare for those. And so then overall, these routines help foster a calm and trusted environment for them.
We have a comment from James. He's not good with random plans. It has to be planned. Yes, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So maintaining a consistent routine instills a sense of stability and security for our children. When they know what to expect, it allows them to feel safe and calm. Stability and consistency in turn allows our children to build trust and connections. When our children feel safe and secure, it supports their natural curiosity, their tendency to explore, learn, and try new things. They crave this stability. It allows them to be more confident in themselves and us as their caregivers. And it may also eliminate, stress and uncertainty for them.
Great. And another thing that routines do is they can encourage, a positive lifestyle and healthy habits. So, we were thinking a lot about kind of mealtime routines, when kids know kind of when they're going to eat breakfast and what they're going to eat and their snacks and, cooking dinner together, things like that are very healthy habits that they can use throughout their life and also are teaching them important life skills. So if you start with a very young child to have them prepare food with you, teach them what you guys eat for certain meals, then as they get older, they can exercise more autonomy, the ability to be more self-directed, to kind of take charge, be proactive. And so they'll have kind of that framework to be able to be more self-sufficient, which then pays dividends when your kids get older. Like I mentioned, I have a 4-year-old and a 12-year-old, and it's a beautiful thing that we're now at a stage where my 12-year-old knows what we eat for breakfast. She knows what the options are. She gets up, she feeds the 4-year-old and the 12-year-old, and I get to stay in bed longer. So that's some of the benefits that you can see over time as you work with some of these types of routines. And so we wanted to pause here for a second because routines around meals can be very significant for kids. So what routines does your family have around meals? Do you have anything that you do, anything that's successful? Now, as much as I say, I have this great routine in the morning where I don't have to be in charge of breakfast, for the most part, my family is not really great at this. We don't have a set meal time. We don't cook dinner together. I don't barely cook anything. So I would love to hear either in the chat or jump on mic and share, what works in your family around meals. And is it something that you enjoy preparing food with your kids? Do you have a set meal time for different meals?
Well, what comes to mind for me personally, during the week, my daughter and I and my family, we usually eat around the same time, but it's just, it's pretty quick. But on the weekend, on Saturdays, we like to make a nicer breakfast and play some music, and it kind of like sets the tone for the weekend. It's kind of our little thing.
That's great. Yeah, it makes it special. So it's like sometimes people think routine sounds like something that's going to be really rigid and not fun, but that just shows you can have a specific routine, but it's a really fun routine. It injects like fun into your week. And Christine shared about they don't necessarily have a lot of set times for their meals, but they do work together to put it together. So it sounds like she'd like to work on food being the regular schedule for food being something that could improve in her schedule, but that otherwise like her schedule is really has a lot of built-in routines. So anyone else have anything they wanted to share, either through the chat or jumping on to share anything about meals or how you do that in your family?
We have family meal nights. So nights that we don't have family meals, I'll just make the kids or whatever. But, a few times a week, we try to have a family meal. And when we do, I'll tell the kid earlier that day, okay, family dinner tonight. And then, they know no screens at the table. They know, that's when we're focused on each other. And then I'll say, okay, dinner's ready. And then they come down and they know they have to set the table. And so I wish we had like family dinner every night. And I wish that was something we established, but I mean, we do have the, okay, tonight we're going to do it. And then you know what's expected of you when we have family dinner. And so I feel like I'm going to count that as a success.
I think that is a success. And I actually kind of similar because I said this is not a strong suit in our family at all. But when we do have like family dinner, my kids know that we do questions. So we're not doing other things. They're asking each other questions. How was your day? What was the favorite part of your day? Things like that. It's not something we do every night, but when we do it, they kind of know what to expect with that. And Vanessa popped on the chat and, oh yeah, Paige, were you going to say something now?
Sorry, I'll talk all day. We usually play like 20 questions at the table because it was to the point my kids are 7 and 10. And, not too long ago, they were like 8 and I don't know, 5. And so it was more difficult to carry on cohesive conversations when they're little. So we started playing 20 questions, Disney characters, like guess the Disney character. And as they've gotten older, the characters have gotten like more obscure and stuff, but it's gotten to the point we'll sit down at dinner, we'll say like a family prayer, and then one of the kids will say, okay, got it. And then we'll just like start playing. And it's just a way to keep conversation going. And then like we talk about the movie and what we liked about the movie and choices the character made and if they were in line with our standards and stuff like that. And it's a good, fun, open door thing.
Right. Like
which is good for people who come over for dinner though, because they'll just be like, okay, got it. And the guests are like, what?
Got it. Like a good icebreaker for the meal. Yeah, I like that. And Vanessa shared in the chat that I think this is a common problem with families too. She says her 12-year-old son plays sports, so he's always hungry. He wants to eat all the time. And yeah, I think that's definitely, it's hard to keep those meal patterns when you have kids that are grazers and want to eat constantly and are always eating. So great. Well, thank you all for sharing some of those. So like Paige and I mentioned, and Christine was talking about too, that it's hard to have those family meals together. And if we're not doing it every night, we don't need to kick ourselves for that or beat ourselves up. But we did want to share that family dinners are a particularly beneficial routine to have. So there's been a ton of research on family dinners. So I wanted to just pull out a few things that studies have found. So on the left-hand column, these are things that benefits for kids. So higher academic performance, higher self-esteem, greater resilience in the face of challenges. So being able to bounce back when you face challenges, lower risk of substance abuse, lower risk of teen pregnancy, and fewer eating disorders. And then on the right-hand side, you can see that there's some unique benefits at different ages. So preschoolers that have family dinners have a bigger vocabulary. Teens have better heart health, better nutrition in young adults, lower risk of depression in parents. So even adults benefit from this family dinner routine. And so you can see that there's both kind of physical benefits because you're more likely to eat a healthier diet if you're sitting down together and kind of being intentional about your meal, but also a lot of mental and emotional benefits because you are having that conversation and interacting with each other and building those supportive relationships. So, so yeah, I think that just that plug for, just a spoiler alert, we're going to ask you to think about a routine at the end that you want to kind of build up in your family. And family dinner is not possible for everyone, but it's definitely a really potent and important routine.
So why are bedtimes routines important? We're gonna talk a little bit about that. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends regular bedtime in order to cue children and help them associate the pre-bedtime activities with the upcoming sleep period. So implementing a bedtime routine on a consistent basis fosters an environment of stability and safety. And it has been shown that when your child is getting proper, adequate sleep, they are able to learn and their brain development goes a little bit smoother. If they're on the younger side, they might have an easier time self-soothing themselves and staying asleep. It increases their attention span. It impacts their mental health and behavior, boosts their immune system, and overall it promotes their physical growth. So it's very important for children to get enough sleep. How much is enough sleep? Well, for babies, obviously, they're going to need a lot more, between 14 and 17 hours. The 1 and 2 year olds, about 11 to 14. 3 to 5 years old, 10 to 13 hours. 6 to 13 years old, 9 to 11 hours of sleep. And for our older children, it's still really important for them to get at least 8 hours of sleep.
So I think this is an interesting question to kind of think about, and you could even ask your child this, but if someone asked your child what some of your routines are, you know, what do you think your little one would say? What would, or even your older child, what would stick out to them as some of the routines in your household?
I know
again,
Andrea has to brush, sorry to interrupt. Andrea would say, brush my teeth. She knows, like, and that's like the most. Yeah, she has 4 cavities, and yet we brush teeth twice a day. And so she would probably, if she was to know more, she'd say, oh, brush my teeth, because she knows you have to brush your teeth morning and night. That's like super important in our routine and our kind of.
That's a great example. Yeah, I love to think about what kids would say that really would stick out for them. Yeah, anyone else have any thoughts about what their child would say? I'll share a quick example. We were foster parents, and one of the things I learned real fast was you really understand what your child thinks about your routines when you see what they tell a new child in your home. What's like the first thing they tell them. And so I remember this one time we got two younger girls, and my 7-year-old at the time, she said, just so you know, this was the very first thing she told them, just so you know, you better eat everything you want for dinner because there's no food after dinner. Mom will never let you eat food after dinner. And so it's kind of interesting to even ask our kids what they think our routines are, to see what's really standing out to them, what really is sticking out for them. Yeah, so Christine said, you know, that her older son really loves breakfast, and her younger son is more about a lunch and dinner guy. Yeah, Paige, did you have something to share?
Always. But that was Daisy was yelling. That's what made that sound.
Oh, okay.
I think the biggest help bedtime routine wise from us, and the thing that my kids would complain about the most, is so their bedtime's at 8 and we have screens off at 7:30. And we have Amazon Echoes, like we have like almost one in every room. We have them all over the place. And at 7:30, they all go off and they say, screens off, 7:30, screens off. And so, and it even pops up on the TV, screens off, announcement, screens off. And so they like, it means I don't have to be the bad guy anymore. I don't have to go in. Like I can just be like, oh, that's the alarm. Sorry. It's like,
Yeah.
Because before I would say, okay, at 7:30, and then they would, oh, 5 more minutes. Oh, but I have to go to the bathroom, so I get that time back. And, stuff like that. So, but when the alarms go off and they say 7:30, I mean, they just turn it off now and they go brush their teeth. Not every night, but sometimes we still get pushed back. But it's been a big help. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that
Thank you
too,
for sharing.
because
I like that.
yeah, I sometimes don't watch the clock closely enough. So then even though we have a set time, if I'm not watching it closely enough because I don't have an outside alarm, then all of a sudden we're a little bit off our schedule and I'm like rushing. So I really love that idea of like an external alarm that helps that going. And Christine said that she has that too, an alarm that helps keep them on track. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
So how can routines benefit us as parents and caregivers? We've talked about the benefits for our young ones. How can routines also help us as the adults? We're going to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so according to Dr. Brad Brenner, daily routines can ease anxiety. And Maria was already sharing that she has anxiety. I think that's a common struggle that a lot of parents have. And so routines are a way that we can ease that. When we create daily routines, you know, like exercising or changing our sleep patterns, allows our bodies to adjust, know what to expect. And it's important to set our expectations that it does take 21 days to create a habit. But that's from, you know, some research that has been done into that. But I like that because it's not, it takes a little bit of time. You have to be consistent for a little bit of time, but that's not actually like a hugely long period of time. It is within reach to create some new habits if we just give it some consistent focus for, you know, around 21 days. And so, you know, routines really create stability for us as parents as well as our kids. You know, it helps with our time management, helps us to feel like we're fulfilling some of our goals, getting the most important things done in the day. If we work those into a routine, then we know they get done. And it also helps us, you know, relieve stress and cope with change. And I don't know about you, but it feels like the last couple of years especially have just been like constant change. And so finding some specific things that we can hang on to as routines, even when change happens, really helps us feel like we're you know, getting things done, making progress in life.
And according to a 50-year review that was done by, this is out of the Journal of Family Psychology, a review that started in 2002. Family routines are associated with marital satisfaction and stronger family relationships, a positive sense of personal identity in teenagers, better overall health, and academic achievement has been noted as well.
So another aspect that we wanted to touch on is that creating time for self-care is so important. You know, self-care isn't selfish, it's what helps us maintain, it helps us be accessible for our children, helps us to rejuvenate. And so even if it's a really small self-care routine, it can make a big difference. I mean, for me, if I give myself even 10 or 15 minutes in the morning to read, because I love to read, it just makes a big difference for me in my day. And so just, we've all heard this saying, I'm sure, but remembering to fill our cup, because you can't pour from an empty cup. So you really need to make sure that you're trying to find those times, as hard as it is, you're trying to find those times to take care of yourself.
Does anybody want to share if they've noticed any difference with your mental health when they have a set routine or a positive experience with having a routine and your mental health? I would like to share something. When I take the time to exercise a little bit, do the physical therapy that I'm supposed to do daily, I do feel better overall. Mentally, I'm more prepared to take on challenges, especially those that come with having a young kid. I think having a routine with exercise has helped me a lot, keeping active and doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
I think Samantha, were you gonna share something? I saw you jump on for a minute.
For me, I also do the whole reading devotional type of thing in the morning, but I also write down my top 3, which is the 3 main things I want to get done for the day. And I feel like it helps so much. So it's one of the things I do.
Yeah, I love that that's working for you. I really want to adopt that. And yet it always, like, I can't get it down to 3. And so then it just becomes unmanageable. So I like love that idea and I really want to try to make it work for me. And so far I haven't gotten it.
Like I might need more, but I need these things done the most. So
Yes. Yeah. That's a great example. I love that.
I think that is super important to make it like manageable, because I had routines that were causing me more stress and that were making like my mental health like make me feel like it's like 10 a.m. and I've already failed, because my list of things I wanted, my routine was just not possible with my family, either because of my kids' temperaments or my abilities, or I just tried to jam too many things in there, and it was a detriment to me. And so I had to like figure out, like take a week and just let things happen and kind of like figure out what worked for my family and what was the best thing, and then rework a routine that actually matched us instead of trying to match our family to the routine I wanted, which was a painful and hard the figuring out process.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's actually what we're just going to get to next, is that exact point about making it like reasonable. And Christine put, or James put in that they exercise 2 times a day, whether it's a sport or just walking. And that is impressive. And I think that's great. Working in exercise, that's so good for kids, get out energy, all of that.
So how can we start to implement routines into our daily lives? This is a nice picture that Ashley picked out. I really like it because we are the superheroes in our children's eyes. A lot of the times we're so busy, have so many things to tackle and manage. So with routines, it's important to set realistic and manageable expectations for ourselves. Starting with maybe one small routine at a time allows us to ease that routine into our busy schedule. One small step at a time can help us feel empowered and help us move forward and create bigger goals. When you sometimes, get ahead of yourself or create a complicated routine with a lot of steps, it can become overwhelming. So we definitely want to set ourselves up for success and start small and go from there.
Yeah. So this is where we want you guys to reflect a little bit, because like Paige was saying, she had some things that weren't fitting her family. And so we want you to think for a minute about what's a routine that we've talked about, or maybe someone else shared something that you really liked that sparked your interest, and that might fit your lifestyle. So not all routines are going to work for everyone, but think about something we've talked about tonight, whether it's bedtime, story time, a meal time, and really think for a minute about what do you want to take away and try to implement a little bit more. What's one thing that you think you could maybe do a little bit better that's going to have good effects for your kids, but also help you and your mental health as well. And if you want to put that in the chat or jump on and share, we'd love to hear it. But it's also just like a reflection time for you to think about something that you want to maybe tweak in your life. But again, keeping that realistic that Paige was talking about and Claudia was talking about. I know as I've been working on this and thinking about this, one of the things that really helps me is if I stretch in the morning, because I've had some back injuries, if I stretch in the mornings for even like 1 minute, my day is better because I'm not in as much pain, and pain kind of wears on you. You start to get a little bit grumpy as you are in pain. And so, but it's amazing to me how often I skip that 1 minute, when if I just did that 1 minute, it would make my day better. So that's the one that I'm going to work on, is making sure that I take that 1 minute for stretching. So yeah, does anyone want to share some small routine that you want to implement or tweak a little bit?
Well, I would love to.
What? Say that again.
Oh, I was just saying, I was asking if anyone wanted to share a little routine that they have been inspired to like kind of tweak or implement based on what we've been talking about tonight. So Paige, did you have something you wanted to share?
We are really bad with bedtime routines. Like we get the screens off and then it's kind of like chaos. Like how the children get into bed and 900 drinks of water later and stuff like that. So I would really like to start doing, something at bedtime. We have family prayer and we have, brush your teeth and put on pajamas. But then after that, it's like, break, scatter, everyone go. And so, so I would really like to do, they're 10 and they're 7, but I would still like, they're still young enough for stories, right? I would love to do a story. And
Yes, definitely.
if anybody has any good routines for 1-year-olds, my daughter, she does not go to sleep until like midnight at the latest or at the earliest. And then she wakes up a bunch. And I just like, I've forgotten all the baby routines. So if anybody has like a baby routine they like that they would want to share, that would be really helpful for me.
Well, that's great. Well, we have 3 family advocates that can get some ideas going on that. What were you going to say, Claudia?
Yeah. Oh, well, for a baby, well, for any child, really, I would say that any quiet activity would be fitting for bedtime. I know traditionally a lot of people like to read, and it's great to read, but we can also maybe do a puzzle or just talk, or and I was gonna say maybe what I used to do for my baby was give her a little massage. And I felt like that really calmed her down, but that was quite a while ago. She's a little older now.
Yeah, I was going to mention infant massage too. I know there's some tutorials on YouTube that are, meant like some that are saying like, this will help your baby calm down for bed. So it might be worth trying. And Christine posted that the thing she wants to work on is a little bit more with the screens and some of those, when the screens go off and that sort of thing. So great. Well, thank you all for thinking about that for a minute. And for those who didn't speak up, it really was meant to be kind of a reflection time for you about, what you would like to do. So keep thinking on that. And just as we wrap up here, we wanted to share a few ideas for making transitions smoother for our kids. So of course, setting a timer for time limited activities. We've already kind of touched on that a little bit, how that can be beneficial. You're not the bad guy. The timer goes off and it's time. A family calendar that, especially as kids get older, that they can actually see this is when things are happening. Bedtime story or songs that you work in. When this song comes on, this is what we're going to do. Down at the bottom there, an interactive chart. So, for either kids that can't read yet or kids that are already reading, you can find charts that lay out the order of things that they need to do. And then this rolled dice, this is something that Ashley, again, the kind of mastermind behind our presentation tonight, she uses this with the kids that she's worked with in the past, where you make a list of different things that have to be in the routine, different activities, and you line them up with a number, and then the child actually gets to roll which to do first, what comes next. And so it gives them that sense of control and autonomy, and it gives you peace of mind that everything in the routine is going to get done, but they are getting some control in what order it's done in. And so it makes them feel a little bit more part of that process. So those are a few ideas for smoothing out those transitions. And we, Claudia, you're going to share about this.
These are 2 audiobooks. You can find them on YouTube. They're about bedtime and they go through routines. They might be fun for your little one if you want to check them out. We have Sleep, Why Do We Need It? By Jeanette Rowe, and The Going to Bed book by Sandra Boynton. If you'd like to check them out, I'm sure your little ones would enjoy it for bed.
Yeah, and Chelsea just threw those links in the chat for us, so you can click over and use those links right on YouTube. All right.
Thank you so much. I appreciate.
Yeah. So were there any other questions or comments that anyone wanted to make as we are winding down tonight?
I just want to make it really clear, since I don't know if all the moms that are here or the parents of the.
We kind of lost you, Maria. You're on mute now. Oh, she might have lost reception.
Maybe she'll get back to us.
Okay.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments?
Yeah, jump right in and in the chat, or jump on if you have any questions or comments. While we're winding down, we wanted to share just a couple of things about both our programs and upcoming events we have going on. So one of our big programs, specifically for families with kids who are newborn all the way up to until they turn 6 years old, is family success coaching. And this is where you have one of our wonderful family advocates working with you on anything that you kind of need. It's very personalized to each family, gives priority access to different resources, educational workshops like you're coming to tonight. Part of the program is setting goals, and your advocate becomes a kind of accountability partner to help you walk through those goals, and gives you kind of support and resources for whatever goal you set, but it's very directed by what you are wanting to achieve in your life. We also do some milestone tracking, and can provide developmentally appropriate activities for your kid wherever they're at to help continue to help their development. We'll do home visits in this program and provide things like diapers, wipes, food. So it's a support for those in our community that have young children. So please reach out if that's something that you feel like would benefit your family.
We also wanted to share with you that on Saturday, June 4th, we're going to have a free mobile clinic where they will offer the first dose for Pfizer, ages 5 and up, testing, COVID boosters, and the flu shot. If you have any questions, you can give us a call at the Resource Center. But once again, it will be on the 4th of June from 10 to 3.
Yeah, and that leads right into our activity that we're super excited about. We're going to have our second annual Park Day, and Kern Public Health will be on hand to answer questions, and also have that mobile clinic up there. But we'll have a lot of other participating organizations. There's going to be games and snacks and activities and crafts and prizes, and kids of all ages are welcome. Everyone in the community is welcome to join us. And that's going to be Saturday, June 4th from 11 to 2 at Fraser Park. And we're just really excited for that. A bunch of the participating organizations are bringing some really fun stuff to sign kids up for some of their programs, and to just give them a really fun day. So we hope you'll join us in the park on June 4th.
Yeah, we were there last year.
Time for the raffle.
Oh, Paige was putting in a plug. She came to Park Day last year.
Oh. Okay, it's time for the raffle, the time we've all been waiting for.
Yeah.
We've got
I think there's Carzilla is the only one that I don't know who that person is. If they want to put a name in, I think that's the only person I'm waiting on.
Yeah, so I don't know, Carzilla, if you're in the ability to either jump on and tell us your name or put it into the chat. You can always put it in as Carzilla, though.
I was just gonna say, worst case, I'll do that.
So, and Chelsea's going to then share her screen and spin the wheel and see who our winners are.
I put it in as Carzilla.
But we are so glad that you all joined us tonight. It was great to have you.
Christine,
All right.
that's our first winner.
Now,
And Carzilla. Congratulations.
so Christine, since you were our first winner, would you like the $50 gas card or the self-care basket? Ooh, she's thinking. It's a tough decision. Gas card, yeah, that is a big help right now. And Carzilla, will you get in touch with us here? I don't know, Carzilla, if you can jump on mic, but I'm also going to type our office phone number into the chat so that you can reach out to us or share right now. We want to make sure we connect with you and get you your basket. But Chelsea, do you want to stop the recording? And thank you for coming, Blake and Paige, and thank you.